What worship is. So that's what we're going to get into. And I want to talk to you about check your posture. Just check your posture. And I'll explain that later. But he told them that their lips, they worship me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. And so many times in life, how many of you know that person that you just don't pay attention to when they give you a compliment? And what do you mean you don't pay attention to them? Because you don't trust them. Because you know that's the same person that'll give you, you've heard them compliment other people, and then when they compliment them, they'll walk away and it's a joke. Oh, I like what you got on. And then they'll come to you and say, did you see that? Or, sister, you sure you really are cute? Well, I just told her that because she needed to smile. You can't trust them. So, Jesus knew that these scribes and these Pharisees were lifted up and they were proud people because they knew the commandments. And they knew things, you know, they were studiers, seekers. They stayed before the Lord. They were right before him in all their ways. But they were too lifted up that they couldn't see what God really wanted them to see. And can you put it back up for me? And when he told them that they worshiped him before, in vain do they worship me, in teaching as doctrines of the commandments of men. And when he's talking about in vain do they worship me, they worship me, but it's empty. They worship me because it's out of tradition and it's out of works. It's out of familiarity. There are so many things we do in life because we know that we're going to get a result if we do it this way. Not checking to see if it is correct, if the directions have changed, or if there is another method that may get you there faster, that takes less work, that is less offensive. But because we know how to do what we know how to do, we keep doing it the same way. And the real interesting part is that it's in vain. It's empty. There is nothing there. You're doing it, and you believe that it's causing a change, but it's not affecting anyone nor you. You are just constantly doing the same thing. Those of you who are social media people, there was something going around this week, and there was a man on Instagram, not making fun of him, it was just a meme, but this man was on Instagram, and he was lifting weights. He was dressed apart, but he was lifting totally wrong. But when he was lifting, he was breathing hard, and the funny part about it was after he got finished, he was convinced in his mind that he was doing it the right way. But he was lifting with one arm on a machine that requires two arms. And then on top of that, his form, everything was wrong. His form, his method, everything was wrong. And he believed that he's going to get some results. Well, I hope that someone is nice enough. As you see, I'm not a gym person. But I hope that someone is nice enough to put his man to the side to say, brother, can I help you? Because he needs a little help because he's doing it, he's not going to get any results. And sometimes in life, you need someone to pull you to the side and say, brother or sister, let me help you. Now, it's all in how you say it. You can't go to anyone prideful, lifted up, and you can't talk down negative to anyone. But if people genuinely believe that you have their heart and their issue and concern, they will listen to you. But he told them that they're teaching it after commandments of men. And he's also referring back to in Isaiah chapter 29, when he told them the same thing. But in this instance, the priest had changed the law. And in the commandment, it says, honor thy mother and thy father, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Well, as time went on, the priests, just like now, were money hungry. So they changed it to say that you don't have to honor your mother and your father, basically, if it takes away from you doing for the church. And people believe that. And they were doing it, just like now. Let me tell you, if anybody tells you to dishonor what God has already set up and then tries to manipulate it and put God behind it, you better know it's witchcraft. You better know it's witchcraft, and it is prominent in the church. It is prominent with people who love platforms and microphones. I'm not telling you this to talk down on anybody else's church. I dare not call out anybody's ministry. That is not how I operate. That is not how we operate at Growth Point. But I will tell you, there are people who are here to manipulate you and to twist you up. And the bad part is you're going to be held accountable for that. So in Isaiah, he told them the same thing. These people worship me with their heart, but their lips are far from me. You have to know when it gets to the place to where you are just offering lip service. Have you ever heard an older person say you're talking loud and saying nothing? That's how we do Jesus a whole lot. We talk loud, say nothing. And what I need you to know, that worship is a lifestyle. And it's a cliche saying, but it is the true saying. When I say lifestyle, it is not only praise and all those things, the things that we come in here to do. Worship is how you conduct yourself after this. Worship is how you conduct yourself when you are alone, when you are walking, and when no one's around. Because true worshipers honor God without an audience. Without an audience. And sometimes you have to watch people, because the bigger the audience, the more hype they get. That's why I don't do a lot of cheering. What do you mean by cheering? Some people call it encouraging. I'm going to call it cheering. And what I mean by that is, say Valentine is excited in the Lord and she's got her hands raised. I'm not going to be in her ear, go ahead, do it. I might, say, all right, give God your best, praise him or something, but I'm not about to waste all my energy encouraging someone who I know nothing about. What I mean by that, it's nothing wrong with encouraging people to love God and be expressive toward God. But in that same encouragement, check on them. Call them during the week. Develop a relationship with them. Let them know that they have someone they can talk to, so they can talk about the real issues after they leave this place. And so many times we get so comfortable in seeing and identifying people by what we know them to be here. So it really messes you up when you see the person who runs around the church all the time cussing somebody out in Kroger's. Ooh, I didn't know she was like that, because you don't know her. I do, you don't. All they do is talk about people. Well, I'm sorry. It's the truth. But the question is, are you going to keep staying around that? Are you going to dismiss yourself? It's okay. They'll talk about you. They're talking about you when you leave already anyway. So I would advise you to go on and be, by yourself and grow, and let them talk about you. You never know about it. You're going to be all right, I promise. But I'm saying that to say, that's why it's important not to get so caught up in what you believe people to be when you see them or when you first laid eyes on them. Because those of us who come to church all the time, or those of us who were raised in church or even have family lineage, we know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. We know how to sing loud and cry loud and exalt the Lord really loud to make you think that we know him. That has nothing to do with how well you know the Lord. To know him is to honor him, is to love him, and it is to walk according to his precepts. That has nothing to do. The show is what it is. It is a show. I would never discredit praise. I would never discredit anyone being excited in the Lord. But no, there is more to it than that. There is more to it than that. I can't tell you how many times. See, now Bryce is here. All right. So he can identify. Quan and Precious, there's a few that can identify. Now, I did grow up Baptist, but for a long time I was in a traditional Pentecostal church. And what that means is we operated totally different. We had what you call tarrying service, an altar call. And they would last for hours on end. Calling on the name of Jesus. So we would be at the altar, and they patting us on our back and clapping and screaming, and we frothing at the mouth and falling and rolling. Get right up, go right home, do the same thing we was up here falling out for. And I knew some people. We used to have youth conference every year, and it's not funny, but I knew some people got saved every conference. And what I mean by that is every youth conference, it was the same people, be it position or not, be it whatever it was, but we weren't taught necessarily a lot of methods in how to live every day. You was taught and preached holiness, but not necessarily how to apply that and what that meant. So a lot of times we were bound, but because we had the appearance, and we made all the church services, and we didn't dip out. We wasn't hanging out in the parking lot. We was shouting and crying. We did all of the motions, but we never really had the ability, or we didn't apply it, so we kept going through the motions over and over and over again. And that's how it is. We were basically doing all of that in vain. And when I say all of that, that is a lot of all. If you have never experienced, Miriam knows, if you have never experienced it, I'm not talking down on it, but we're pretty much in and out. We're not a long church. Let me tell you, tarrying service could last as long as our church service by itself. By itself. That ain't including preaching. That's not including praise service and testimony service. I could easily be in church 5 hours. On a good day. 5 hours, and you are expected to be at night service, which could be 4 more hours. Doing it in vain. Help us, Lord. So there comes a time when you have to ask the Lord, help me to really know you, to quit wasting my time and your time. Now, yes, the Lord knows all. He knows it all. He knows how many times you're going to repeat all of that. But it is great. Those of you who have children, or those of you who are over anyone in any type of authority, you know, you see it coming. Well, they're going to do it. I'm not even going to waste my breath. They're going to do it. But how great is the day when they finally admit, all right, I'm tired of doing this. I apologize. I'm going to do better. Help me to do better. All of you get happy. All of us get excited. There is nothing like people that you love and you are concerned about wanting the best for themselves. You can want the best for everybody, but if they do not believe in it and they don't want it, there is nothing you can do. There is nothing you could do. And a lot of times you have to learn that worship is individual. It is individual. Now, what we do in here collectively, we say let's worship him corporately. But what's really interesting is corporately, but it's still individual. What do you mean? Because Curtis knows him to be one thing. I know him to be another. Michelle knows him to be another. The college students know him to be one thing. Chrissy knows him to be another thing. But we're all saying hallelujah or praise the Lord or you're mighty, whatever the case is, or got our hands lifted, but we all don't have the same reason. That's why it's important to know God for yourself. That's why it's an individual thing. Because if you get caught up, and it's easy for cliques to form, it's easy for those who find people that you identify with and like-minded or whatever. That's easy. I'm not here to say it's right or wrong. But what I am here to say, that if you're not individual enough in your worship, in your lifestyle, you fall into the trap of we. And we is a setup all in itself. Because when I get tired of we, I leave you alone and I go do what I want to do. But we still talking about we. We get you left. We get you left behind. We get you set up. We get your blessings stalled. We keeps you at a place of not growing. That's why you have to know how important it is to keep your life as an individual and to keep your life of worship. Worship is also ongoing, is constant. What do you mean by that? It is a place where you need to keep God constantly in your mind. The older people used to say, keep a praise, keep a yes. What do you mean by that? No matter what is going on, you cannot let that defeat you and outweigh what you know God to be and how wonderful you know him to be. All the ways that he has made for you already, that you've already identified with, you have to remember that and keep that. You cannot let defeat or someone upset you, put you in a place to where you stay too long to where it just starts piling up. It went from, I just don't feel good today, to I don't want to do this anymore, to nobody likes me, or everyone's how did you go from I just didn't feel good? Now you got 7 symptoms and everybody else is the cause of them. You let that take you to a totally different place. You let that defeat you. You let that put you in a place of doubt to where when your brothers and your sisters are concerned about you, then you questioning everything, let alone questioning God. You don't believe nothing. You don't want to do any better. And then I'm wrong when I let you stay where you want to be. Oh, the saints. Well, you ran the saints off. You did. You told the saints you don't want to talk, don't bother me, don't call me. If I did call, you sent me the voicemail. If I saw you and you act like you didn't see me out in public, what can I do? So now you really at a place. That was just my little tantrum. I'm sorry. It's all right. I love the people. I do. I love the people. And while you're going through this place and you wanting to know, you have to keep your heart guarded. And the reason why I tell you this, we're going to go old school. It's not up, but you got your Bibles and your tablets. So I need you to turn to Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. Again, that's Proverbs chapter 24, verse 23. chapter 4, verse 23. I'm sorry. Again, Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. Keep your heart with vigilance, for from it flow the spring of life. That's why it's important to keep your heart. That's why it's important not to let the enemy get to you. That's why it's important not to get caught up in the weeds. Because weeds do not always strengthen your heart. Weeds do not always have your heart at the most consideration, because most of the time if you listen to weeds long enough, it's really an eye at the end of it, and you was crazy enough to catch on to it. You got followed in, whatever the case may be, you love them as your ace, your partner from way back, and you let what they was concerned with trickle over to you, and then you crazy enough to pass it on to the next one. So, it just goes somewhere else. If you would turn also to Matthew chapter 15, verse 19. Again, Matthew chapter 15, verse 19. For out of the heart come evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false witness, slander. Now, I just told you, if I didn't tell you, let me backtrack. Worship is a heart issue. Worship is a heart matter. Worship comes from the heart. Now, if you're not guarded and you're not watching so the flow that's springing up, this is what's going to come out of it. Evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false witness, slander. That has nothing to do with worship. That's why you cannot get caught up in when you see people running, screaming, hollering, declaring how good God is, because it only takes a minute for the true heart to speak. If you go back when he was telling them that, their lips are far, they worship me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Later on, he goes on to say, because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Yeah. That's why it's important. Now, I'm not going to say that every time someone rolls their eyes or snaps at you that their heart is evil towards you, because you never know what's going on with someone. Their heart could be weighed with something else that is not concerning to you. You just may have caught it at that moment. But even yet and still, we have to do heart checks. Do heart checks. And I used to say self-checks all the time, but do heart checks. And what do you mean by that? You know what irritates you. You know what is going to make you snap, crackle, and pop real quick. And I'm not saying play with that, and I'm not saying flirt with that, but go in that direction, and that person that you know you really have a little bit of patience for, ask the Lord to help you. That you can develop a relationship with them, because the reason why your patience may be short, theirs might be short with you. You don't know. These are things that we do not know. We have to learn how to develop and ask the Lord to help us in creating us a clean heart and renew a right spirit within us. So many times we go through life, I told you, just like the Pharisees and the scribes, doing what we know to do. Some of you cannot break your routine. And this is not... They know I love them. This is not a kick for those. But those of you who have to have coffee, your day is not right unless some type of coffee hits your system. And sometimes it's just the smell. And your day is going to be, it's already better. It is already better. Now, what about So you telling me that if I call you, I got a good emergency, I mean a real life situation, and I call you, you can't get to me until you stop and have coffee first? You can't get to me until, if you walk into work and it is up here, that something exploded in the midnight hour, there's nothing you can do. You mean to tell me you can't tackle the situation that needs to be handled in the first 15 minutes, the first 30 minutes? Now, those of you who drink coffee, you know you don't drink it fast. It take you 10 minutes to get the syrup right, to get the right taste and flavor. So if I need you in the first 15 and your coffee take 10, what can we do? What can we do? For those of us who have a routine, whatever it is, I just picked coffee. I don't have anything against coffee drinkers. I just don't drink it. But I don't have anything against coffee drinkers. But whatever it is, some of you, cigarettes. You can't even work a job. And I think I don't smoke, but when you work, everybody gets, your 15-minute breaks, whatever the job is. Now, for non-smokers, it's always offensive because smokers take more than their regular 15-minute breaks. And it be longer than 15 minutes. So you be sitting there. I remember when I worked for the state, and I'll be working, and you don't smoke by yourself. You have to take everybody in the office that smokes. And so I would have a question, something would have to be addressed, and I just look around. And I'd be on the phone like, well, can you call back in 30 minutes? Why 30 minutes? Well, it's 15, but it's really going to be 30. And someone will be here to help you. Please call back. But I'm just throwing things out. Whatever your vice is or whatever your situation is, you have to learn how to ask the Lord to help you break that up so you can be effective. Because so many times we do things and we become dependent on them because we are convinced that it works. You cannot tell us that it doesn't work. You can't tell me that. Just like our stubborn people you can't tell them that if they got high blood pressure to stop eating pork. You can't, I just love the bacon. It don't love you. There are things that you have to, when you want to do better, when you want to do better. When you want to do better. That is all the way around. Spiritually, naturally, physically, mentally. When you want to do better, better is for you. Better is already out there. Actually, better is searching for you. So when you want to do better, you have those opportunities. And the reason why I said check your posture, because when you think of posture, you think of how people walk. Don't slump your back. Don't walk from side to side. Keep your shoulders straight. Keep your neck up. Keep your feet, straight. Don't walk slew-footed. All these things we get into. But when I want to talk about posture before the Lord, check your pride level. Check your pride level. These scribes and Pharisees were convinced that they knew the way. They were convinced that they had it all in a bag. They were convinced that nobody could tell me nothing. They were so convinced that they went to the one and only, to the truth. The one who knows the way, to tell something that really didn't matter. And what's crazy is that how many times are you convinced? How do you go to the truth? How do you go to the truth to tell on somebody? God, they did this. He knows. He knew. God, they're not doing. He knows. What are you doing? Where are you? Where is your posture? Have you started teaching things? And what it is interesting that he said they were teaching things that were pleasing to them. They had made up in their mind that this is right so bad that now I'm going to teach it to you, you, and you. And then make it a precept. Make it generational. How many times do we do that? Again, us good Pentecostal holiness. Thank you, Lord. Preachers don't wear shorts. It is 105 degrees. I'm putting on these shorts, and if I got a muscle or two in my arm, I'm putting on this tank top. I'm fully dressed and fully cool at the same time. Thank you, Lord. You need pants on. Well, don't you have on a short skirt? Come on, leave me alone. So we come up with all of these things that we feel that are right and that we want to be upheld, that are pleasing to us. Things that we like. Well, you need to be this way or you need to be this way. Now, I'm not getting into the judgmental sense of things, but I'm saying you have to be careful and check your posture. Are you humble before the Lord? Are you asking the Lord to check you? Are you asking the Lord, is my worship towards you honest? Is it pure? Is my life adding up to all of this noise that I'm making? And when I say noise, I mean even in your praise or even in you being the police to Jesus. Y'all know what I mean, the police. I just told you. I just demonstrated you. He knows. He don't need your report. And again, I don't understand how you report or how we report, but we don't report on ourselves. You know what wrong you've done or what you are currently doing, but what they're doing and what they did is more important. Especially if it hurt your feelings or embarrass you. Then it's really wrong. Check your posture. It is an individual thing. Know that God knows all. He created all. He's in all. He is all. He's it. Learn how to move through whatever you are telling about. Whatever has discouraged you, look over it. Some of you I haven't had the pleasure to work with one-on-one, but when people get to work with me one-on-one, sometimes, people say, do you ever get mad? Yeah, everybody gets mad. Well, we don't see it. Why? I like having my energy. I like feeling good. I like being able to smile at people. I don't have time to give you all of my energy like that. What now? Let me confess. People will see. And when they do see, then it's like, oh, well, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry. I just needed 5 minutes. I'm back. I'm all right. But I'm saying that to say, know where your energy is being directed, please, people. Those of you who don't know or haven't experienced God, don't feel like others. Don't feel like you have to measure up to where Sister Bridget is, or Michelle, or Sterling. And don't feel like you have to measure up because you really don't know where they are. No matter, and we know Sterling loves to praise the Lord and keep doing it, but don't feel like you got to have Sterling's praise. Don't feel like you got to run around the church like Damone does sometimes. If you're not a runner, okay, all right. That's fine. But I'm saying stop comparing yourself. You get lost in comparing yourself. As you learn more of God, your worship will develop. As you learn more of God and have more experiences, you will grow to love Him in different areas. It's just like a natural relationship. Now, you thought you was in love that first 6 months. You thought you was in love when y'all went down, when y'all got married. Whatever you did. But as time goes along, you learn more about each other, and you learn to love that part of each other. It's just like God. If you've never been homeless, you can't love Him in a way that a homeless person loves Him. If you have both of your parents, you don't know Him to be a mother to the motherless or a father to the fatherless. If you have unlimited income, you don't know Him to be a miracle worker and something disappearing. But, as the old people used to say, baby, just keep living. Just keep living. I promise you, you're going to need God in an area that you didn't know you needed God in. And after it is said and done, now the challenge is, we say all the time, well, after you come through, then you know God. Please get to know God in the midst of. Please get to know God. Let your worship be developed while you are going through. Those of you who know anything about someone's identity being developed, it didn't happen after. It happened when they were going through whatever was taking them through life. Be it abuse, be it misuse, be it whatever. That is how people are developed. That is the course. So please know that your posture can be developed. It can grow. If you lean into one side, while you are leaning, get to know God. Get to know God in whatever area that you are going through in, that you do not know Him in. And a lot of times, to know God is not, you're not going to know everything right now. The scribes and the Pharisees thought they knew it all. They didn't know it all, because if they knew it all, they would have known who they were talking to. If they knew it all, they would have known that He didn't need their report. If they knew it all, they would have known the clapback that was coming their way. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Please know that you don't know. That's the first step. Know what you don't know about God. I mean, know that you don't know some things about God. It's okay to acknowledge that. Now, it's even better that after you acknowledge, you ask the Lord to help you in those areas, or your brothers and sisters, okay, I need a little help in here. I need a little help in there. Now, if we're going to be clicked up, let's be clicked up helping each other. If that's what we're going to do. And I got a few more things. Please know that worship is not always convenient. What do you mean by it's not always convenient? If it's an individual thing, that's exactly what I mean. All of y'all right here together. I'm just giving an example. You're right here together. There comes a time when you're going to have to step out and do something that you need to do for yourself. There comes a time when you will have to inconvenience somebody else and be okay with that. Or even inconvenience yourself. Oh, I had plans. It's Friday. I got somewhere to go. Someone calls you and they need help. I mean help. If you really have the heart of God and you really have worship in you, whatever that was so important that really wasn't important, you're going to go help. Even if that means, now, yes, you can do life. That's not what we're talking about. Yes, you can do life. Yes, you can enjoy life. But there comes a time when you will have to make a decision. There comes a time when you will have to know that if everybody's doing it, well, this season in my life, I can't. I'm asking the Lord to help me in an area. I'll just say financial obedience. We ain't going to go super deep. We'll say financial obedience. But you got a shopping demon. And they got this bus going to New York. And it's 2 days. And it's a cheap bus ride. Everything is great. Hotel, everything is great. And I get to go shop for 2 days. Come back like, yep, with New York. New York. But the problem is, you ask the Lord to help you. You ask the Lord for spiritual obedience. You ask the Lord to help me align my life, that it is pleasing to you, that I may be able to help somebody. So what are you going to do? Yeah, I know, some of you going. If it wasn't for a little bit at times, I'd probably be with you. But I'm saying that you have to admit those things. You have to ask the Lord, help me. And when you ask for help, be willing for the help. Don't fight against the help. Don't come up with another plan. Oh, I won't eat for 2 days. All my bills are paid up. I got a little extra. Well, every time you get a little extra, if it goes, you never have extra. So when the life comes your way and something happens, what does that mean? Hey. So that's what I mean by it is not convenient all the time. It isn't. But it's okay, and you have to learn how to be okay with that not being convenient, and also knowing that it's not a curse, and God is not mad at you. He's not punishing you. It is just a time for you to be developed and grow, for your posture to be changed. That's all. It's not a bad situation. And you have to learn that it's a privilege to worship. And it's a privilege to be in different areas. And it's a privilege to go through. It's a privilege to learn God. It's a privilege to experience God in different areas. It's a privilege for God to grow me. It's just what it is. Please know that God is not mad at you. The challenge is, are you going to identify what you need me to be in your life? What do you need God to be? What area do you need God in? Where do you need him? Do your self-check. Do your heart check. Ask God to check my posture. Ask God to help me be all that I can be. Ask God to help me be strong as an individual. So when I do link up with anybody, another strong individual, we're a power team together. We're a power team. And when you're in a power team, that doesn't mean nothing is not going on in your life. But if Rock is going through, if I'm the other part of the power team, or Valentine is a part of the power team, when she calls us, we should be able to help. She should be able to help me. I should be able to help her. That's what it's all about. Don't join in on the bandwagon. So when I get off the phone, she feel worse than she did when I called. Oh, Lord, that was a loss of my time and my minutes. Now, everybody's unlimited. Everybody's unlimited for the most part. But just know, please know, that it's personal, and that as you are developed in your relationship with God, Quan, I'm done. As you develop into your relationship with God, that you can and you will develop a more lifestyle worship, and you will develop the ability to learn Him and to know Him. Please never get discouraged. Please never get discouraged. And stop telling. You spend too much time telling. Magnify God. Learn God. Exalt Him. Why? Before you start telling, tell Him how great He is. Before you start telling, tell Him thank you. Before you start telling, tell Him I appreciate everything that you have done for me. And I promise you, when you start, before you can get to telling, you will get caught up in your thank yous. You will get caught up in adoration and praise and being able to thank God for Him being who He is, what He is, all that He is, all the time. Please. That is all I have to say to you. Check your posture. Check your posture. Don't go down telling. Go down thanking Him, all right? Praise the Lord.